Hello there everybody, it's Nuoance, and I'm sorry that this video is coming out a scooch later than usual. In the past few months, it's been very hectic, but things are finally starting to look a little upwards. I'll get more into that at the end of the video though. First, I want to thank all of you for getting us to 3,000 subscribers. I am so honored that y'all have been supporting me like this, and I want to tell each and every one of you that I appreciate it immensely. Today, I just wanted to first talk about my experience with the VRchat market, which is one of my favorite events that happens in VRchat. I've talked about the marketplace 3 times now, and plan to cover the event every time it appears, but for this particular one, I'm going to just be showing highlight clips from my stream while talking over it. Also, a final reminder, this is the last week to answer the questionnaire I have in the description. If you want to be involved in one of my future videos, I have a survey that I'm trying to get as many people to fill out. It deals with your opinion on mirrors and VRchat. I have worked really hard in making this video as honest and fair as I can be, and I'm also trying to keep it somewhat educational, so if you could just take the time to fill it out, it's only like 10 or 11 questions, it would mean the world to me. With that, let's talk about the damage at hand. VRchat, also known as Virtual Marketplace, if you aren't aware, is a marketplace that is hosted inside of VRchat, what looks to be at least bi-yearly. They have a few different versions of the market, but this one centralizes around VRchat and the virtual assets. Every year, the event gets more and more creative, and this year was no different. However, I'm not sure if anybody else felt this way, but for this instance, the market was kind of disappointing. I loved the settings, everything was both stylized and unique, but it felt like the market was focusing more on experience rather than the products at hand. Which I usually wouldn't see as a problem, but they had the formula down pat all the other times, because showcasing the products, to me, was part of the experience. Maybe less people applied to the market, I don't really know, but it felt like there was very little to choose from. Usually at the virtual market, I find at least 3 to 5 different avatars or assets that I absolutely adore. But if you watch the stream, I really only felt like there were 2 this time, and one of them I thought, probably it's super cute, but it'd be best not to buy it for the sake of my friends. Like this kind of furry, whenever I see furry. I have murder mittens. I'm going to break down the event into 5 parts: experience, quality, product, uniqueness, and remembrance. As I said before, it really felt like the marketplace focused their energy into the experience, and boy, what an experience it was. The worlds were so beautiful and extremely detailed, it's hard to say you couldn't have fun. If you haven't yet, you should take a few friends and just walk around the events, because there is a lot to look and see. Some of the worlds have these mini-games, and actually one world is just a mini-game, which I thought was a really cool feature. One thing that VRchat always does right is that first look of awe when you walk through and you see the main area. It's breathtaking. There was so much to look at, and just like before, each area had its own puzzle to solve. I honestly don't know if anything happens with these puzzles, but we managed to solve one of them, I think, and it was a lot of fun. I love that there's always a little story to go with each area so that you could feel the time and love that went into the market, but this was also kind of its downfall. There is no argument that the worlds are high quality, but I feel like that's also the reason for the event being a little bit of a failure on my end. The best thing about VRchat is that it's a game that anybody can get into and even create for. Most, if not all, of the best memories are forged through worlds and content that the others made free for us to experience. And for that, you always don't need perfect quality, but you do need a way to play. Every single map I went to lagged horrendously, and it got to the point where I was hiding my friends because I literally could not handle the world. Of course, you could blame my friends' avatars, the constant switching, or that I was streaming so my computer was already under stress, but let me have a moment to explain myself. Hapa! Give me your shit. Oh.
We're basically in Chinese Detroit.
I don't think, sorry, sir. The people who joined me on the first stream were those who I constantly hung out with, all at once, with little problem. I've been in worlds with more people and had a much better time handling it than what happened this year's market. I expect lag, yes, but not when there's only 5 or 6 friends around. Last year I hosted a shopping trip more than once, and each time was accompanied by upwards of 10 people, and those worlds had much more content squished into them than this year's. Which brings me to the second argument, which is the constant avatar changes. This is a marketplace, and changes are expected, if not encouraged. We're trying on avatars, having a laugh, enjoying ourselves. So if one of the key points of the event, which is to sell, doesn't make it easy to change avatars with fear of crashing, I'm going to have a little bit of an issue with it. Finally, the streaming argument, which is completely fair. We all know that my streams aren't the best sometimes, and sometimes I've had issues in the past, but I found the source of my problems and now have constant streams since. I do need to get my computer checked, but with everything that's been happening, I haven't had time to, so realistically, it could have just been my computer having a terrible time because it's under stress. Either way though, my argument still stands somewhat. Compared to the previous one, the quality was as high as ever, if even more, but it felt so much more bulky for what little product there was. Which brings me to my next point, product. There were a lot to look at for sure, but I may have been spoiled from Vket4 and Vket5. Heck, even 3 was absolutely stunning in my opinion. Sans 2 of the worlds, the themed ones really did feel like they cared more about the story and aesthetic rather than showcasing the products. They're there for everyone to see easily, of course, but there was also a lot of empty space that was just about the world itself. That's not to say there was no product, because the stuff they did have on display, it was done in such a way that really elevated each one and gave them the space that they needed to shine. Even though I personally prefer being overloaded with hundreds of options, I can also understand how that could get really jarring, and also risk someone's booth being overlooked because they see a flashier one nearby. I have been guilty of this, and I'm sorry to all those that I've skipped my first run around. Fourth up is how unique the event itself was, and this one's kind of a 50-50 for me. Each instance was stunning to look at because I haven't said it enough, and they all had different themes compared to the previous events. Whoever is in charge of building those worlds, I hope they're watching this so I can tell them, you know what you're doing. If it's a group of people, you all know what you're doing. You are fantastic, and I wish you could teach me. But I'm back to kind of comparing it to the previous ones. I felt like there wasn't that much. Like, everything was different, yes, but the overall amount was also felt smaller. Looking at the world menu is a little deceiving because at least a third of those worlds are actually just standalones from the other marketplaces. It's a smart idea to isolate and find exactly what you want, and I am living for it, but I'm also a bit disappointed since I thought maybe there'd be more compared to their counterparts. However, I do think there is a reason for this, and I'm more than happy with it. When looking at previous marketplaces to compare, I noticed that the older ones have Quest-compatible options now. I think they focus more on making the previous markets that are still public a memorable event for those with the Quest, and honestly, that's enough of a reason for me. As much as some of the PC VR users like to ignore it, Quest is a big part of VRchat since it's so affordable and easy to obtain. We need to make content for them and let them join in on the fun events that have been hosted for a few years now. I think it's really cool that they would go back and make older worlds Quest compatible so their hard work can be shared to those who maybe couldn't see it before. Sure, a lot of the avatars for sale aren't going to be Quest compatible, and maybe that's one of the problems that came up for this event was to try and incentivize Quest avatars. But as I stated previously, it's not just about the buying, it's about the experience of going with your friends and goofing off. As a PC VR user, I want both to be on an equal playing field, but for a Quest user, that's much less important to them. Finally though, we're at Remembrance. Will I remember this event like the previous 3? Probably not. Though I don't think that's the fault of the marketplace. I've had a very stressful time, so my brain's really just fuzzy right now. There were probably one world that really stuck out to me, and that was the Japan Festi VR. All of those fun little games you could play and the snacks you could pick up really elevated the experience and started you out on a fantastic note. Each event should give you one fond memory in my opinion, and Vket6 managed to do that just like all the others. Personally, I think you'll have an amazing time either way, especially if you've never had a chance to go to any of the marketplaces. Just in case you're curious though, you can go to any of the Vket6 worlds, and in the world description it will show the account that uploads all the virtual markets, and through that you can explore the older instances that are still public. I think if anything, these market worlds are built to last compared to some of the others. Usually after the event, Vket takes some of the world down, while others stay up to be viewed at any time. And just from the quality of Vket6, I think they're planning to keep them up for good. Honestly, I still think that the Virtual Market 5 was still one of the best, and I know quite a few people who agree with me. But I also think that the backlash that people had about some of the worlds, like the cubed ones, made the company as a whole go to a slightly different direction. If you weren't aware, Vket 5 had a ton of content, and I mean a ton of content. and it got very overwhelming to a lot of people. We had so much to sift through in the 5th edition that people complained it was just way too much. But now there's just a little too little. I hope we can get some kind of middle ground by Vket6, where each world is fun and unique, but also has tons of different products. If you haven't gone yet, even though it's not my favorite VCat of the bunch, I still highly recommend you give it a look. Lastly, I just want to wrap this up to give you all an update on my life. If you're watching my streams or follow me on TikTok, then you know I've been struggling to find work. And so far, I still don't have a regular job, but I did take on voice work for another channel, and that pays pretty well as some freelancing work on the side. If you do need someone to do a voiceover for you for your videos, you can let me know and I'd be happy to work with you. Just make sure to let me know what your budget is, or I will let you know what my rates are. Anyways, once I get my life back on track and understand my budget with this new work I've started, I'll be returning to my previously made content, so look forward to that. Thank you all so much for sticking with me through this. It means a lot and I promise to work hard to not let you down. Just a reminder though, please make sure to fill out the survey if you haven't yet. The link's in the description, and make sure to drink your water, eat your broccoli, and have a fantastic day. I'll see y'all in the next video.